qualify that we are rezoning. But we are zoning or asking to rezone the entire property, so all 13 acres, even though the coffee shop is really only occupying a small portion of that. So these recommendations really guide the entire use of that property, even the undeveloped portion on the south. So kind of keep that in mind as I talk here. So as I said, this property is used for a church. The comprehensive plan recommends that the property be used in a governmental or institutional way, or be used that way. The Onward Ozark plan recommends a public or semi-public use, as well as mixed use for office, housing, and other retail on the southern half. So mixed use zoning accommodates all of those recommendations and the design elements that are included in the zoning district for GMU. And again, those design elements help to mitigate any issues there are with friction between businesses and housing and that type of thing. I'm struggling here. So as you can see from this image, water and sewer infrastructure is available adjacent to the site. There's several options for the proposed development, whether it's that on the frontage or on the southern side, west side. The property is located on South Street, which is a primary arterial. It also has frontage on 17th Street, which is a collector street. Both can provide access to the site for future development and should be able to support commercial traffic, future development, including a coffee shop, and that would qualify the need to have a traffic study done when it gets redeveloped. There are no immediate residential developments adjacent to the site. Again, if this rezoning was for the entire property, not just the corner, all these things would apply to the site. They're not just site specific. Development could occur within a mixed-use building type, or it could occur with respect to separate buildings across the site that could be different uses. Could have housing, and it could have commercial buildings, office buildings, and different buildings. So with that, lastly, I can report that all the postings and publications have been met. We haven't received any opposition to the zoning change from the public. The staff recommends approval. I'll be glad to answer any questions I can.
Okay, thank you. And in accordance to procedure, we'll open it up to the public if, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. Is a member of the applicant or the applicant to represent the church in this wish to speak? And I believe that could be you.
That would be me. My name is Sean Berry. I'm with Toth & Associates. We're consulting engineers. We're here representing the coffee shop that you are speaking of. And we're also here to help the church and representation of them as well. And Philip Sylvie is here if you have any questions for him. Okay. Just wanted to come and say hello. Wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to ask questions of us if you wanted to know what the plan is here. There's no hiding any concepts. We do plan to develop a piece of this property with a coffee shop. 7 Brew Coffee is the client that I represent. That is a goal of the development of this property, but it doesn't have anything to do necessarily with the rezoning. And as staff said, I think this is in compliance with your all's plan for Onward Ozark. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay, we'll call you back up if need be. Thank you. Would a representative of the church want to say anything? I think that's you, sir. I've seen you before. You don't have to, but if you want to, please.
I just wanted to state.
Could you give me your name and
My name is Philip Sylvie. I'm a member of Ozark Assembly of God Church.
Okay.
Just wanted to state that the membership of Ozark Assembly has voted and approved the coffee shop.
Okay.
Plans to go in. So
okay.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, with that, now I'll do what I said I'd do, open it up to the public for any comment, concerns, or questions that might be in existence. Seeing no movement, we'll go ahead and close the public portion. Open it up to commissioners for any questions or comments.
So
Mr.
my
Goldberg.
question, possibly maybe you can answer it, sir. I know we're talking just generally, but when we look, that's just a small little road there. And, you know, I know we're not talking of specific use, but you have the letter of intent for 7 Brew. how many cars can Seven Brew handle? I've seen different ones. I've seen the one sometimes on Sunshine where almost it backs into Sunshine to get off. So like how big of a loop? Is there any kind of talk with that to prevent it kind of from building up on that road in the morning time or the busy time?
That's a really good question. So a couple things. One, we do Seven Brew coffees all over the country and have done a lot of traffic studies for them. On average, the maximum peak hour queued vehicle count is 14 vehicles. Most of our sites that we do store between 18 and 26 cars. And we do that for the very purpose of keeping everybody on the property to not have any negative impact on queuing vehicles out on the public streets. Now, some of the worst case scenarios that you hear about are when a coffee shop or this particular coffee shop comes to a new town, there's a tendency for people to get excited about it. And during the first few weeks of the facility opening, you could see larger queue times than usual. But Seven Brew prides themselves on fast delivery. They average about 4 to 5 minutes per person on the property by the time they get off the property. And so I'm pretty confident that we have enough spaces here to queue all the vehicles on the property. I think we have 22 queued vehicles on this particular in this particular location. So really good question. And then if there's overflow, it'll probably negatively impact the church's parking lot more so than the public streets.
Okay. And then if further retail with mixed use, I guess, and this may be a question for you, is there the possibility for that road to extend further down? So if they put something further south on the property, apartments, things like that, does that need to be on their land, or do we have the possibility of extending that road further south, kind of in between Lowe's and there?
Yeah, anything like that's possible. They could subdivide the church's property further and create lots in there, and they could. I mean, there's an infinite number of scenarios of how they could.
I just didn't know if we had any plan that said that road could go further straight or not. Okay.
Now, the only thing we know is that we require some type of trail connection there. That's what you can see from that dotted line.
Right.
So.
Thanks. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And just to clarify, Randall, you mentioned in your introduction that once the application is brought officially, it will spark a traffic study, correct?
Yes, it's at some point, yes.
No matter what happens, if this does proceed.
Most likely that'll be required by MoDOT because they'll be accessing South Street.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Everybody good? I'll go roundabout. Chad, you good? Adam? Adam had something.
Well, no, I was just curious if, because it's currently general agriculture and its current use is obviously not agriculture, if this was needed anyway to come into compliance.
No, you would catch me. There's a law about religious institutions can basically exist anywhere in any zoning district, and municipalities can't restrict where they operate.
Because
So
it's technically not a commercial enterprise.
correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
But to that point, anything, including a coffee shop, would require a zoning change. So
Right.
This is a good time to do it. Do
Right.
it across
That's
the
right.
board.
It's not really a 2-for-1 deal. It's just.
Yeah, and there's no other lot lines on the site, so
Right.
they have to rezone to a property line of some sort.
Right.
So whether or not they want to or not, they are kind of in a situation where they have to rezone all of it.
Right.
So.
Okay. That was my only question.
Okay. Thank you. Trevor?
I have nothing.
Pete?
Nothing.
You good now?
If you have a question, if you don't, I'm ready to make a motion.
Nope.
Okay.
Go.
So I'll make a motion to approve zoning amendment 25-0002 based on staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Roll call when you can.
Caleb Berger,
Aye.
Hadley Goldberg,
Aye.
Chad Zickafus,
Aye.
Lacey Colbert is absent, Suzanne Daniel. Trevor Branch,
Aye.
Adam Brown,
Aye.
Jeff Garrison,
Aye.
and Pete Renfro. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Megan. Second, under new business, letter B is zoning amendment 25-0003. Property location is 1014 through 1018 South 3rd Street. Property owner, help me, Charlie. Evelina Gentile Existing zoning is C4, Central Business District. Requested zoning is C2, General Commercial District. Mr. Whitman, the floor again is yours.
So I want to qualify that this zoning case has been in the process for quite a while, and there's a significant backstory. Generally speaking, this zoning case represents the city's efforts to work with the property owner to accommodate some untimely building changes and some code conflicts. And we're trying to do this without disrupting any of the business operation for any of the tenants. So this request is to rezone this property, which is about 6.7 acres from the C4 Central Business District zoning to C2 General Commercial. The property is located on the east side of 3rd Street. I believe there's a chiropractor there and a few other small business, a tattoo parlor. So again, a refresher, these are the 5 factors. These are the same 5 factors you consider each time. How's the property used? How's it zoned? What the recommendations are going forward? What particulars in the zoning code and the comprehensive plan guide your decision-making, and what guides staff to evaluate this and provide you with recommendations. So we're looking at, in this case, we're looking, is C2 appropriate zoning, and are the uses that currently occur there and could occur there appropriate for this property? So to the north, it's zoned C4 still, which is the Central Business District. There's a roofing office there. They don't store materials there. It's probably just an office where they do similar type of work. To the south is I think it's a HVAC service office, very similar. It's zoned the same. To the east, it is a single-family zoning district. And to the west, across 3rd Street, there's 2 different zoning districts. One of which is C2, and the other one is also residential in use. So the city's comprehensive plan makes recommendations on the highest and best use. So in this case, the property is actively used for retail. It's an office strip center, basically. Those things will presumably not change with the zoning. None of the businesses that exist there will become non-conforming. The comprehensive plan recommends, as well as the Onward Ozark plan, generally they recommend a mixed-use zoning type and uses for that matter. So the Onward Ozark plan has an excerpt that I kind of paraphrased there for this portion of 3rd Street, and it refers to it in it's kind of a section within a section of the Central Corridor portion of the Onward Ozark plan, which provides some specific guidelines. But when we narrow that down, it really does continue to support C2 and C4 zoning, as well as the uses within that permitted use table within the zoning district. So again, everything that's existing there now would be allowed. Everything that you would typically think of in a commercial district would be supported there. Retail, office uses, the things that go to the wayside, really there's nothing. It's more about design elements and things like that. So again, the development design standards do change somewhat, but if it's redeveloped, and that's really the trigger here, they would have to comply with new stormwater requirements. They'd have to look at parking. They'd have to do a traffic analysis depending on what they're doing. The road access would be evaluated. It is located on a primary arterial. But again, there's no changes proposed currently with this zoning change. The driveway won't change, the location, the frequency, any of that. The property is already and will continue to be located in a transportation overlay district, so that won't change. And this property will not, it will change some of the design requirements with respect to materials and composition, in this case of roofing, siding, and that type of thing. There are some changes in signage as well. There is an immediate residential neighborhood to the east. Normally a buffer yard would be required, but because they're not making any changes to the site, that wouldn't be triggered. If they redevelop the site, tear the building down and build something new, that would trigger all those things, including the buffer yard. So lastly, this zoning change would bring the building into compliance, as well as the changes that the property owner made to the roof and some other things that didn't comply with the C4 zoning. So it would bring it in compliance in that respect. So they've met all the requirements for the zoning and posting notification. We've not received any complaints from neighbors or from the public. Staff recommends approval of the zoning changes. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Okay, representative of the owner, do you want to say anything, Charlie? To what, you want to add anything? Okay, we'll call you up if we need a question. How about that? Okay, so we'll open it up to the public portion of the application. Oh, come ahead, sir.
My name's Brad Nichols. I'm actually the residential owner directly behind the property. One thing I seen on there on that second bullet point. So if this, just for clarification, if this is approved for amendment here, will that require a review for the stormwater? Because in the last probably 12 months since the building has been brought up, changed looks, we've exceeded a large amount of rain runoff, stormwater rain runoff onto our property. Backing up into our house.
I'll defer to you for that answer.
Yeah, the changes he's made to the building itself do not trigger a new stormwater analysis, wouldn't trigger any new stormwater detention requirements or anything like that. And fundamentally, the water is still going, the same amount of water is still going to the east. Unless there's been some downspouts changed or something like that, and he may not have any downspouts on there. That may be something he can answer, but the water flow shouldn't have changed in the last 12 months from.
Okay, because I know we've lived there roughly 9 years, and it seemed like in the last 12 months, a year and a half, that it's increased on the water runoff directly behind the building.
Okay. We'll ask the gentleman here to comment on that for you. Okay.
Yeah, to answer your question, the zoning will not require any new changes to the site itself.
Okay, so just this amendment, but if it was to be redeveloped,
yes.
If he did any add-on, if he changed his parking lot, if he paved something in the backyard, anything to change the impervious surface of the site, that would trigger a new analysis and could require some stormwater detention or cause him to have to divert water to a different direction or something. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I've got video proof if we need.
Okay.
If it comes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Charlie, you want to comment on that and answer his question, please? And I'm sorry, did you get his address? I'm sorry. Can you give her your address right quick?
1005 South First Street.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you. Your name and address, Charlie.
Charlie Gentile, 250 Aviation Ozark. But that did have guttering all around it. We took it off and was put that on there. We will have all new guttering and stuff put back up there because the way the guttering was before, it all funneled in. So right now it is going everywhere.
It's going everywhere.
Because we can't finish it until
you're-
it will all be put back on.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Did you get that, Brad? Okay. Okay. Anyone else? No movement. I'll go ahead and close the public portion and open it up to commissioners for questions or comments or concerns. Go ahead, Adam. You're hitting the button.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know what the difference was to bring it into compliance from C4 to C2. Is it only the roof structure that you're talking about?
It's really more about the materials.
Materials, okay.
Yeah. Megan may have to help me a little bit. She's got the history with this, but it's really the metal that he used isn't allowed in a C4 zoning district.
Okay.
There's some signage issues as well. What else am I missing, Megan?
I think that's it.
Okay.
The metal roof is the main thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And just for clarification there, the C4 is on the north and the south, but across the street is C2, correct?
Yeah.
That's good. And so the C4, as I understand, is central. So is only that side of the road considered part of the central zoning plan?
Good question. It goes, so that when I mentioned that reference in the Onward Ozark plan, that specific part goes down to, give me a second here. I'll find it in my, Okay, you caught me. From Walnut Street to J Street. Does that make sense? So,
Okay.
So the Onward Ozark plan looks at downtown in one respect, or that central corridor all the way from South Street to Jackson.
Right.
But within that, they've identified this little enclave of properties that are these properties just like this, old commercial structures that have kind of transitioned over time. And it's really giving guidance on how it should be used and how it should be redeveloped with respect to what types of buildings and how it should interact with downtown.
Right.
And how it interacts with the residential properties behind it and how it interacts with the street itself.
Okay.
So it's really saying that this is a good use and it's something that it would forecast for the future.
Right.
It's probably talking about those other properties that aren't developed or that are not in the best shape. This property's in good shape. It's activated and it's occupied. The parking lot is paved.
Right.
So
Yeah.
some of that guidance could be for other properties, not specifically this one.
Sure. I was curious if, since it seems to be only that side of the street, if maybe any other properties on the other side, I know because that other side of the street connects to the old 3rd Street and not the current 3rd Street, if that might be the difference was, or if there was, just the consistency of the zoning and that what's considered central, if it was only the east side.
Yeah, so it's a good question. Maybe I didn't answer that right. This sub-district within the central corridor does include the properties on the west side as well.
Okay.
It's not just the east side. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that.
That's why I was just curious of why it kind of seemed to apply to that one side.
This is a tough application because on the west side, you've got some single-family bungalows.
Right.
You've got some properties there that you can barely see them. They sit almost off on the bluff.
Right.
It's very loose guidance, but it's basically saying it needs to be redeveloped with something that's a higher and better use.
Right.
That has that's better integrated for downtown.
Right.
And a major corridor. So it's mixed use is used a lot and it's thrown around a lot, but it's
Right.
really, let's build something that's compatible and works and brings revenue and new investment to the city. So,
And that was my only other question is if C4 to C2 changes any of the parking requirements or if that is only the materials when it comes to the building.
actually the C2 district requires parking. The C4 district doesn't.
Okay.
So it pushes us in a direction that if it
Right.
were redeveloped, they would have to account for how much floor space they have.
Right.
And they would have to design parking to accommodate that.
Right.
And that would limit how much of the site could be developed. So
Right.
C4 is a better zoning from that respect than
Right.
C2, but it's a non-conforming site, so we won't require him to change or modify his parking lot.
Right.
Landscaping, any of that stuff.
Okay.
Good question, sir.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yeah, Chad, go ahead.
I got a few questions, Randall, not to put you on the spot. So the work that was done out there already, that has been done recently, did that require a permit from the city?
Yes,
And did they have a permit to do the work that they did?
they have a permit now to do the work, yes.
So they didn't have a
It
permit
was a
when they started?
it was a reaction to,
Okay. Where I'm going with this is, did the city approve plans to modify the building? And they started doing that work, and then the city caught them later that what they'd approved didn't match the zoning. But it doesn't sound like that's the case. Maybe they started without the proper permits and then
yeah.
got notified that they were out of compliance.
Yeah, in hindsight, it would have been done in a different way.
Okay.
But it did work out. I mean, they did, it's been structurally looked at to make sure there wasn't something that's going to endanger the public or the occupancy. So it's all cleared and it's been permitted. One of the requirements, though, of getting a permit to use those materials is that you have to comply with the zoning.
Sure.
So, and he doesn't because it's currently zoned C4, so they can't put that particular type of metal on the roof. So it's one of the steps. Another step they had to go through was combine the property. It was in 2 lots and the buildings were connected. And that is a problem as well. So he's met that goal, or he's met that requirement, and now he's going through the zoning change. So this will give the city a green light to issue him a building permit, and then he can go ahead and finish his roof work.
Okay, thanks. I think the request to rezone sounds reasonable.
Thank you, Chad. Did you want to comment to any of that or answer any part of that?
What get a permit, but I didn't know that I couldn't put a metal roof on there. I went down and said, I'm putting a roof on it. And so I just did metal, and then they caught me whenever and I was like, I've got a permit. I didn't realize it was an issue. But really the whole deal of why we did the whole thing was because the signs used to be all bolted on the roof. Well, that was, the issue, you can't have them on the roof. So that's why we redid it and put that front on there so the signs can be, just make it look nicer. That's how the whole kind of mess started. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I'm looking for a motion. I'll go ahead and make a motion. How about that? Motion to approve zoning amendment 25-0003 based upon staff information. Do I have a second? Okay. Roll call, Megan.
Hadley Goldberg.
Aye.
Trevor Branch.
Aye.
Adam Brown.
Aye.
Pete Renfro.
Aye.
Suzanne Daniel. Aye. Caleb Berger.
Aye.
Lacey Colbert is absent. Chad Zickafoos.
Aye.
And Jeff Garrison.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you. Then we have discussion. We'll go to commission comments of any kind, future things coming, questions. If not, I'm going to ask you to mention what's coming next month. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Everybody good?
Check out the new pickleball courts. We finally have some outdoor pickleball courts. I always say something, so.
The year after my daughter graduated, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah.
Where are they at?
They're on the tennis courts. They're just the one side, but the side closer to the road.
Yeah, I'm glad they redid the whole
Yeah.
floor
It needed
or
it,
whatever. It needed it so bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Randall, talk about we're going to see next month.
So in May, we have a proposed annexation. I can't remember how many acres. I want to say 68 acres. It's that much on NN Highway, just on the west side, across from the elementary school.
I believe it's 20.
20. Yeah, I'm not good with numbers apparently, but it's 2 tracts of land on the west side of the road near the Cox Orthopedic Hospital, or Rehab Hospital, excuse me. So we'll be just the annexation. There's no zoning case coming forward with that, just strictly annexation. We also will have a presentation for you that Mr. Renfro heard at the non-legislative meeting a couple weeks ago with the Board of Aldermen. We've asked him to come back and make that same presentation for you. It's a pre-application presentation, so there's no official request for your review or recommendation that night, but they've got some time in their schedule before they're going to actually make application, and we thought it was a good idea. He agreed to come and give you kind of a sneak peek into that. It's a big zoning case. It's a plan development for the Marabella project. Might give you some time to think some things through and ask questions prior to the application actually coming in for our review. And then also, we will be bringing over the next several months, maybe a year, we'll be bringing some text amendments to the zoning code forward. Next month, we hope to have some some minor changes to the lighting ordinance or the dark sky ordinance with respect to exterior lighting, street lights, and some specific metrics for interior and up lighting with respect some exterior signage. So we'll be bringing that forward for your review. So as we know, 3 items on the agenda. Megan, is there anything else that?
I believe that's it for now.
Okay.
Just a refresher, I'm not sure who was here, but we looked at that. It wasn't called Marabella then, was it?
It was Marabella.
It was the same name? I can't
Mhm.
remember, but
They've talked about
it's
changing.
just shy of 300 acres up on NN to the east, behind James River Church.
Mhm.
It's going to be the
Yeah, mixed use development.
mixed use, there it is. And I'm glad they're coming to show their presentation. I'm glad we're going to get to see that. Megan, anything from you?
Nope, that's it.
You're good?
Yep, we're good.
Mr. Mayor? Would you like to speak?
Speech.
I know you're interrupting, so. Didn't know.
Yes, next meeting will be on the 27th.
Oh, yeah, reference your calendars on
For
that because of
Memorial
the
Day
holiday. Yeah. I'll let you get by with it. Okay. All right. If nothing else, we're lacking one more motion.
Go home.
Second?
Second.
And they all said
Amen.
aye and amen. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Do we know anything on Burger King or